Hi, everyone. This is Tim Dearlove from DigitalOcean. Welcome back to the folks that have attended a previous session, and welcome to the folks who might be signing on for the first time. Super excited to welcome 3 different companies to talk today. This is going to be a great session. We have Cpanel, we have Plesk, we have Whmcs, 3 companies that work with thousands and thousands and thousands of service providers, agencies, managed service providers, all different kinds of companies that are working and managing client websites and client cloud environments. And they have a great session today all about sort of how you can structure your business to be as optimized as possible in today's market. So as always, if you've attended one of these sessions before, we tend to let the presenter get through the meat of their presentation in one go. So if you have questions, there is a question panel pane in GoToWebinar. Please put your questions sort of as they come to you. I will personally be monitoring them and saving them. And when Lucas, Mario, and Johnny are all done with the presentation, we'll be going through questions and asking them all of the questions that came in and allowing you all to ask any questions based off of their presentation. So with that, I'd like to welcome Lucas, Mario, and Johnny. And I think Lucas will start with you. So I'll kick it over to you. We're excited to hear the presentation.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tim, for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. Some of you may not be fully familiar with our joint attendance here, but this will be the first time where our companies are showing up as our WebPros brand. Myself, as well as Mario and Johnny, we have been in this industry somewhere between 10 and 15 years. We are very excited with our partnership with DigitalOcean. And especially if you are more like a channel-oriented company, if you're an agency, a managed service provider, web professional, what we call it, should be super interesting for you that we can show you a little bit on how we see the market in that space, as well as how we partner with DigitalOcean to become an MSP 2.0, how we call it. And we really focus on selling solutions and not just infrastructure, because there is so much more than infrastructure. Then the presentation itself will probably go around 30 minutes. And if you have any questions, as Tim mentioned, you can put them into the chat. Afterwards, we will have enough time after 30, 35 minutes to actually take these questions, because I know you might have many questions and we're more than happy to answer them. Also, this webinar will be recorded and we'll provide all the slides and the recording afterwards, so you will be able to consume it if something was a little more too much text intensive, but we'll really try to have it as much as possible straightforward. So let's jump right in. WebPros Group. So you may know our brand, Cpanel, Plastic, Whmcs. We are on the market since 1999. The Cpanel and Plesk together is more than 900,000 servers that are installed with our software. WebPros is our holding brand that is bringing us all together in one family since about a bit more than a year now. And we have many different global offices where we run our business, and Whmcs specifically has more than 40,000 installations. You might be familiar with it, and we believe we serve through these channel partners of a bit more than 3,000, around about 100 million SMBs in 130 countries. Also important, we are a significant player in the WordPress space. So if you count all our WordPress installations together, we're slightly over 3 million installations, what brings us to as the second largest WordPress hoster in the world. And obviously, we are also providing 24/7 support. You know, we are on the DigitalOcean marketplace with our products, but we are also covering you with support all over the board to really make sure you're never left alone with the offerings that you do for your customers. When we go a bit into our different players, as I said, DigitalOcean is our fastest growing player, where we have our offerings on the marketplace. but we have a lot of experience in working with many different hosting companies in the world, but also in the hyperscale world in terms of other similar players to DigitalOcean. But for us, DigitalOcean is by far the fastest growing one, and that has made multiple reasons, and we'll go into that in a few minutes. And obviously, when we then look into the market itself, I would call it the MSP 1.0. So MSP, as you know, means managed service provider. There have been different flavors of managed service providers over many years. I think the hosting community is one part of it, and others are maybe system integrators or even distributors that consider themselves a managed service provider. But the market has quite changed, you know. When you look at classical hosting companies that sell infrastructure, they're kind of in between data center gear, network servers, operating systems, up to software. That is kind of their core business, meaning they resell and manage all the rest, but the core business today in many hosting companies specifically, or MSPs, is in that space. But DigitalOcean and other large players are also in that space. So I think everyone really needs to think, is that really still the place to be or the space to be? Because infrastructure is everywhere. You know, the margins for many years have really been in selling data center infrastructure, servers, operating systems, you know, VPSs, dedicated servers. But it's so competitive today that if you are a little smaller than DigitalOcean, what I think it's very likely to be, you need to think where your margins are today or in the future, because the thing is, infrastructure is kind of becoming a commodity, you know. And commodity means everyone can do it, everyone has access, everything is the same, right? Competing over infrastructure and over price based on infrastructure is just super difficult for hosting providers and managed service providers. But when you look at DigitalOcean, you know, DigitalOcean has invested hundreds of millions into their global infrastructure, and in that case, they reach this economies of scale, but they're working on very thin margin to provide you the best infrastructure for a channel provider. But in that case, for any channel company, it's kind of more difficult to still compete in that space and to just compete based on price. So the margins today, when you look at it, are really going much more into the area of managed services. If it's applications, monitoring, business processes, sales, there's a lot of opportunity there. And I wanted to talk initially a little bit about that opportunity, because I think there is really a way how you can make much better margins there in that space if you take the right measures. The reason is, you know, as I said, economies of scale. There is hyperscale cloud global infrastructure today. There is DigitalOcean, but there is also others that you know yourselves by their names that provide global infrastructure. But there is even kind of software as a service-based global infrastructure. And I think everyone else needs to think, like, how can I become a cloud MSP, and how can I evolve my business model into the next level? If you're a classic hoster, you might think to go asset light and maybe not run your own infrastructure anymore. If you're an agency, you may want to think, okay, I don't run any data center. I don't want to use my own infrastructure. I'm using DigitalOcean infrastructure because it gives me so much opportunity. And this is the space where we are, where we help MSPs, hosters, agencies, or even system integrators converted to cloud MSPs to serve mostly SMB customers. That's key to understand. Our products are not always like enterprise end customers. We're really in the SMB part of the channel. So when you look at agencies specifically, you know, but even also MSPs, there is an overload of complex infrastructure and choice, and it's very difficult to navigate, actually. You know, when you say, okay, I want to host a WordPress website, what tool do you want to use? It's absolutely crazy. We call it the tools explosion, you know, to actually decide what are reliable tools that I should be using and what is reliable infrastructure and offerings that I should be using. to basically run the best possible offerings for my customers. The reality is also a lot of these tools are very new in the market. Some tools you don't know if they're still there in a year from now. So I think this is where jointly DigitalOcean and Plesk, Cpanel, and Whmcs are a very reliable partner that is rock solid to actually support you with your journey as a channel partner. Also, as an MSP or a small MSP, as an agency, you know, I mean, often you need something for your SMB customers. You know, there are so many niches available in the SMB space that you could address when you run a business as an agency or as an MSP. You need fast, secure, scalable hosting for your websites, maybe your app, but you also need to make money so that you can you need to automate as much as possible so that you don't have to spend time on tech stuff. You know, I always say it should be like auto managed. The best managed service is the one that you don't need, and in your case as a channel partner, you should be focusing on finding a niche across your customer base to actually focus on those services that are the most profitable ones and not the ones that are the most competitive ones. And I think this is really where an MSP or an agency can find a lot of value in providing IT services to an SMB, starting with the website very often. I think it's also often about unreliable shared hosting at traditional hosters, where jointly as DigitalOcean and our products are helping you to have a very reliable way to host your VPSs for your customers. But I will go into that a bit more in a second. And this is really key to actually help SMBs with their journey around digital transformation. So what does that mean for the MSP 2.0? You know, a model that I often use when you are a channel-oriented company, independent if you're an MSP or an agency, this is by Paul Carrison from the UK, but there are many such models. It's the pizza as a service analogy in cloud services. You know, when you compare the full homemade option, where you might even produce your own gas or your own electric and the oven and the fire and the pizza, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hassle, compared to like the absolute right side of things with software as a service, where everything is outsourced. I think you will find yourselves as an MSP somewhere in the middle to actually make sure you use third parties for the right parts where you anyway cannot scale, but where they help you scaling your business, but also adding the rest from your side so that you can differentiate within your market. So as a channel partner today, I think there are kind of 4 key pillars that you need to follow. So the first one is really guiding the end customer. You know, the SMBs are confused. They don't know what they don't know. They have they have so many options. You are the trusted advisor to actually guide the end customer to use the right tools and the right service, because they anyway are just interested in the result. You should be also controlling the value chain. You know, DigitalOcean and us, we are amazing partners for you in that space, but maybe you will also find other partners or a combination of tools that allows you to control your value chain and not just depend on 1 or 2 companies. I think that's always an important part. Also, you should be choosing these partners or partner with those partners that actually need you. You know, there's some other players that are not very interested in partnering. I'm not mentioning the names, but there are some very large hyperscale cloud providers. They say they're partner friendly, but they're not so much. And in that comparison, for example, DigitalOcean is extremely partner friendly. The same for the WebPros group with all our products. We have been working with the channel for almost 20 years now, and where we really focus on the channel to support the channel. And last but not least, I think it's really important that you monetize every interaction with your customers and maybe even bundle your own intellectual property. You know, tools like Whmcs, and I will talk about that in a few minutes, will help you to actually monetize your customers, to build them, to have good base offerings, to basically up and cross-sell them to other services. It's very flexible that you can actually build your own business model out of it. So the successful MSPs view the monetization opportunity as really as a set of layers, and I think very important, infrastructure independent. As I said, competing and just reselling infrastructure will get you nowhere. You know, I think it's important, if you have existing customers, do some data mining in your own market and see what is the majority of your customers. Maybe it's doctors, maybe it's lawyers, maybe it's companies that sell kitchenware, you know, and you will find out that they have some very specific needs where you can educate yourselves and specialize, and that way add much more value than just selling them infrastructure or some technical product. And this is where we collectively with DigitalOcean really will also work on much more material to actually help you to focus on the right things and to be successful in the business side of things as well, because I know that everyone is perfect technical, but really to help you to transform from a generalist to a specialist. So it's not about shared hosting, it's not about VPS hosting, it's not about infrastructure reselling. It's really to become a specialist in your niche so that you can find new revenues, that you can really be a trusted partners and increase your profits with that by productizing these services. What an MSP or an agency can get, you know, I mean, when we look at our products, I'll talk about them in a few minutes. I think our view on what you can get from DigitalOcean as an outside company, I think it's a very, very reliable global infrastructure partner with great performance, great security. We see real opportunities to scale on DigitalOcean. You know, a lot of companies in this space do scale washing, as I would call it. That means they sell you scale, but it's not really scale technically. I think the geographical reach is super important. So let me say it that way. You are maybe based in the US or you may be based in Germany, but you have customers from another country. DigitalOcean has global data centers where you can deploy our software or other software or tools or your backend. And that way it might even be your expansion into becoming a global company if you are just a local player right now. And of course, the product breadth, the innovation that DigitalOcean is providing is really amazing, as well as the user experience. And of course, you know, and you may reach out to the DigitalOcean solution partner team. It's super cost efficient. I think their rates are extremely attractive in terms of that you can benefit from for the prices, as well as the great support that DigitalOcean provides. What is for us an ideal base of a partnership to work with to support the MSP and agency channel for WebPros. So how can we help you to actually become an MSP 2.0 with our products of WebPros like Cpanel, Plesk, Whmcs, and some others together with DigitalOcean? I think the key thing today, I use the Cpanel value proposition, the hosting platform of choice, you know, and it's 20 years. It has pros and cons that we're 20 years on the market. I think the pro is really, it is rock solid and secure. You know, I think we have spent so much time that you're always up to date, that you have a secure architecture, and we're actually moving towards kind of a self-driving servers approach, you know, similar to the self-driving cars. As I say, you should be focusing on things that are your high value services, not the ones that everyone can do. And I think the future is really no sysadmin. You know, we tried it for many years, but I think we are now 99% there, that the sysadmin is gone almost. Let's see. And I think that what you also have with us is that you have freedom. You can run on any cloud, on any hosting company. You have migration capabilities at one click. And we're combining that with support 24/7 worldwide. I think in 5 or 6 languages even right now. I think this is super important. We understand as Cpanel, Plesk, and WebPros that and Whmcs with our products that support is really, really important for the channel on a 24-hour space. So when you look at just Plesk and Cpanel, I think this is like your starting point usually. When you don't know Plesk, when you don't know Cpanel, you are thinking like, maybe let's give it a try. And you can actually start with just one single website that you launch on one of our products, and then add multiple websites, and then once your business is scaling, you can actually automate and scale your whole business through billing, provisioning, self-care, and so on through WHMs, yes. But the base is really you can start with one single website and see how that goes, and you have our full support there. So when you look at Cpanel and Plesk, as I said, we are since very long time in the market. Key functionalities for those who don't know us: domains, email accounts, publish websites, databases, a lot of other things. It's literally your environment. And some people prefer Cpanel, some people prefer Plesk. There are some overlaps, there's some similarities, but we can manage literally your whole stack. That is your ideal environment, even if you're just a freelancer or an agency, to have an easy to use interface for everyone, for the admin, for the website owner, or an agency or an MSP to manage one or multiple websites. So as I said, the stack is completely auto-updated, and when you go a little deeper, there is so much behind. We have worked on so many parts, components of the stack, if that is security, monitoring, optimization, scripting, databases. It's literally anything you could ever imagine. And then there is over 90, I think actually we are quite over 100 already right now in terms of extensions that you can add in a modular way to our products, so that you can actually just create the product and the services that you need for your customers, and even in your flavor. And we keep everything smooth and up to date together with DigitalOcean in the background. I think also important to mention, and as I said, I will share these slides, you can read it in more details. I think today it's really all about a VPS 2.0 or virtual private server, or droplet as it's called on DigitalOcean. We're at a point where a lot of end customers, SMBs, they're frustrated because shared hosting at traditional hosters is just not working, because they're putting thousands of customers on a server. There is not really an isolation. You have noisy neighbor effects. You have security issues. It's very limited in functionality and control, and often the support is very low quality. Where I think with the ability to get even the smallest droplet for like $10 a month and put the Plesk or Cpanel on it, it's your best environment to host your websites. You have full control. You can manage them. There is all the security there, and you're still getting our 24/7 support on the infrastructure level by DigitalOcean, and on Cpanel and Plesk side from us directly. This is why we really believe shared hosting is kind of from yesterday, and we believe having even a small VM with just maybe a few websites per server on a DigitalOcean is your way to go for the hosting stack in the SMB space. Also to mention, often people are very worried about security. This is a screenshot from Plesk, but this is across all our products. For us, security is by design and by default at the core of all our products. If we talk about automatic updates on the whole stack, if we talk firewall, fail to ban, automatic SSL management with free Let's Encrypt, if it's premium versions of DDoS attack protection, if it's strong passwords in terms of password policies, a lot of things. This is our core. If we would not take care about security, we would have an issue that is huge, for us. I wanted to mention security is number one focus for us in terms of the infrastructure behind. Another one that I wanted to mention is WordPress Toolkit. Some of you have maybe heard about it. WordPress is 34, 35% of the whole market of websites worldwide. So as Plesk, we have invested a tremendous amount of time. We're talking over 5 years in terms of taking all the cool tools from the new kids on the block, like a WP Engine, a Pantheon, whatever you name it. We said we make these features available for everyone. You know, it's not just a one-click installation of WordPress. It's managing plugin and theme sets to save your time. It's caching. It's staging, cloning. Recently released is it's remote management of websites that are not even sitting on your server. And the interesting thing is that was developed by Plesk, but very soon you will see that also available on Cpanel, because that was a huge request from many users. Can we have that on Cpanel for those who prefer Cpanel, not Plesk? And so we're in the final stages of making the WordPress Toolkit available also for Cpanel, and then you will see all the future functionalities that we have in the pipeline for managing WordPress to be really leading across the whole web with Cpanel and Plesk together to be the best WordPress platform out there. Of course, also here, security is a huge element there. We really care about it. We are now at the moment optimizing more and more to have even not just the best security by default, but also the best performance by default. Nginx caching is one. You need the right configuration on the server, you know, GSAP and other things to really have not only the most secure WordPress environment, but also the most fastest WordPress environment, whereby I need to say this doesn't depend only on the stack and on the infrastructure. There are other dependencies on how you make WordPress super speed on our infrastructure. WHMCS, so as I said, you start with one website usually, maybe multiple, and use Cpanel or use Plesk for that. But as an MSP or as an agency, you may want to scale your business, and then it comes to the point you don't want to do manual account provisioning or manual billing because it's an annoying task and it doesn't bring any value. This is where WHMCS is coming in and is managing everything for you. You know, if that is creating your different hosted services products, if that is invoicing, recurring billing, base products, up and cross-sell products, different billing models that you may want to do, even customer support. And there is even much more. There is project management module there. There is so many great things there because there is not just WHMCS that provides you all the automation, a storefront, a customer client area, and all these things. The really cool thing that I like also very much on WHMCS is a huge ecosystem of different modules available. You know, you might want to decide tomorrow that you may want to resell G Suite and offer that to your customers, or you may want to resell Office 365 from Microsoft, offer that to your customers, or you may want a specific functionality that you have never had in WHMCS. There is someone who already developed it for you, most probably. There is also an ability to very easily resell some of the industry-leading third-party products, if that is a SiteLog, that is Spam Expert. There is a thing called Market Connect from WHMCS that literally allows you, with a few clicks, to also resell these products at super attractive prices because WHMCS has 40,000 plus installations, was able to get super good pricing for these products as well. So you can create your fully custom offering for your specific market, and WHMCS will be your product to then scale your business wherever you might be, together with DigitalOcean. So that's always how I say it. The best way to predict the future is to create it. That's a sentence from Peter Drucker. And having said that, I think I made it exactly to 30 minutes to make sure you have a good experience. And if you want to get started, you can go to DigitalOcean Marketplace, so you can find Plesk there in 2 versions, one for Ubuntu and one for CentOS. Plesk there is available for one-click app with up to 3 domains for free. Then on Cpanel/WHM, you have also a one-click app that is CentOS based. You can get a license at cpanel.net, but you can also try it with a trial, of course. And right now with WHMCS, it's a self-install PHP app right now. We are currently working with the WHMCS team to make this available very, very soon. And so go to the DigitalOcean Marketplace to start your journey now and give it a try. We would also love to get your feedback. You know, for example, at Plesk, we have a Facebook group where you can join and share with thousands of other people your experiences, or maybe you have questions. We have our support on all these different products that you can use. And yeah, I think having said that, give it a try. And if there are any questions, I think we could now open for questions.
Thanks, Lucas. Obviously, that was an incredibly thorough overview. And again, just as a reminder, we'll make sure to send these slides afterwards because I think Lucas put a lot of very helpful information into the slide deck. So for folks on the line, do not worry, we will send this out afterwards for you. Lucas, we got a couple questions, so we can go through them one by one. The first question is, there's so much technology that so you went through in the presentation, and I'm paraphrasing here, but if someone were looking at their business and trying to do some sort of audit on the technology they use now and the technology they should use in the future, do you have any advice for them? Any place where they might be able to get started?
Yes, absolutely. I can make an example. DigitalOcean has also other apps in the marketplace that we could see as a bit of a competition. There's, for example, the one-click WordPress. And when you look at using the one-click WordPress, it's super difficult to make it really secure and to really have it running on a proper stack. This is where I think you should give it a try with Plesk to actually use that environment for WordPress and compare. And I think, as I said, you can start as small as $5 or $10 virtual machine /droplet or DigitalOcean. You can try one of our products, you can get feedback, and then decide later if you want to migrate. I mean, we even have a migration team on all fronts in all our different companies to help you migrating if that would be an issue.
Okay, great. So another question. Thanks for that, Lucas. I think it's important to sort of understand, sort of as you kind of walk through your business and trying to figure out exactly where you want to be, and that should inform a little bit about what kind of technology you're using as well. Another question we got here is just, I think you addressed some of this, but if you could maybe address it again. We got a question on sort of just the differences between Cpanel and Plesk and how a company might choose between the two.
Yeah, we were expecting this to come because, Cpanel and Plesk have been competitor for many, many years. And now that we got the new investment round that's actually public, we have been coming together a bit more than a year ago. And I think it's a little bit a matter of taste. Yeah, I'm not saying who is who, but sometimes I'm making the difference between you should choose for Windows or Mac. And I'm not saying who is Windows and who is Mac, but I think it's got a little bit goes in that direction. There are some smaller differences, that, for example, Cpanel has a much stronger implementation right now with Lightspeed, but we're catching up there with Plesk. On the other side, Plesk has a stronger implementation for Nginx. So depending on how technical you are, you might like one or the other. Cpanel is also a bit more on the Apache side of things. And for Plesk, you can use Nginx and Apache in tandem or combined. As I said, the WordPress Toolkit is right now only in Plesk, but it's coming to Cpanel. So if you're WordPress focused, maybe you can look more into Plesk at the moment, but in the future also into Cpanel. And last but not least, what we see at our existing install base is Cpanel has more functionality in terms of distributing your services. So if you want distributed DNS, distributed mail, and really want to run large-scale shared environment with, let's say, not thousands of customers per server, but maybe hundreds of servers, hundreds of customers, especially the emerging markets, that's still a big use case to make money online, to offer web hosting services. Then probably Cpanel is your choice. And if you're an agency, I think we're much more with Plesk, because agency turn out to charge more for their services, and it's easier to just take a small VM with Plesk and put each customer on each VM. So it's a bit of a blurry answer, I know, but we're as this is our first time that we're doing this all together, we're going to work out the differences a little bit more detailed in the very near future.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I think one thing we can sort of say to the audience as well is, DigitalOcean has a relationship with Plesk, Cpanel, WHMCS. So we'll work to make sure that if they're, we can sort of outline maybe some differences and some guidance on what you might choose based off of your specific needs and setup, and try to provide some guidance there. But that makes sense, Lucas, and we'll wait to hear a little bit more from you as sort of you evolve that relationship a little bit.
Perfect. Yeah, the only thing what I can say in terms of stability, security, and performance, we're equal. So.
Okay, we got one last question here, and this is for WHMCS. So we got a question around like someone who has sort of manually or custom built their billing. What is the migration process look like for someone who maybe has built something custom and is considering moving over to WHMCS to sort of take on the burden of sort of their billing needs for a reselling business?
Yeah, sure.
That's good for Johnny, yes.
Yep. We do have several options for the users or folks looking to migrate to WHMCS. One, we do have publicly made available API, and through our support, you can learn how to migrate data based on exporting the data from your current custom billing to WHMCS. And then secondly, we do have a migration service that starts right around $500 if you're looking for our assistance to help you build that script so that we can help migrate that customer and billing data from your existing or custom billing application to WHMCS as well. And that could be found right on our website under our services tab.
Perfect. Okay, so there's API documentation if it's something you want to handle yourself, and then there's also sort of paid migration options if you're looking for assistance from experts who have done this before.
Yes, and there are a select few. If you're using other billing platforms, we do offer an import assist tool that currently supports 3 or 4 of the popular other billing softwares out there, if it's not your own custom billing.
Okay, gotcha. So options for everyone, whether it's custom built or if they're using another popular solution.
Correct.
And we'll just end by asking Lucas and the Cpanel team, Mario, is it same for Cpanel and Plesk? Are there migration options if folks want them?
Yeah, Mario, maybe you first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is Mario Rodriguez from Cpanel. Yes, there are similar options. We do have migrations in terms of if you're coming from another control panel. Both us and Plesk have the migration tools in place. Additionally, we have guides on our documentation on both platforms to assist those that may not be running a control panel at all on how you can package your different, your hosting packages and import them into either Plesk or Cpanel as well. We do also, both of us, Plesk as well as Cpanel, offer a free migration services that can help with those needs.
Yeah, same thing on the Plesk side. So there is a module or extension called Plesk Migration Manager. As Mario said, we also offer migration between Cpanel and Plesk and Cpanel in a very close way. but also if you come from any other platforms out there, you can even import your existing WordPress website if you're hosting it natively somewhere shared. And there is lots of options. And as Mario said, we have a free migration advice as well. And then there is also some complex migration options that we offer as a paid service, especially if it's larger scale platforms. There's lot of options that we learned over the years on how to do these migrations.
Gotcha. So if you're someone that's considering moving, there are options available to you. I think that's the biggest takeaway here. And it's not going to, there are many ways you can avoid a painful migration process if you do the research, and that's something potentially we could also help with in terms of sort of getting the right content over to you on how that process might work.
And I think maybe we just want to add, Tim, on that one. I think even if you're already using Cpanel or using Plesk somewhere else, you have actually an ability for a very smooth way to migrate your existing Cpanel to DigitalOcean or your existing Plesk to DigitalOcean as well. I think that's also important to mention that we're not just migrating from third parties to our platforms, but also between our platforms wherever they are.
Okay, that's helpful. Thanks, Lucas. We got one last question that just came in, and I think you answered this, but I'll tee it up for you again. So is DigitalOcean planning on providing an official module for WHMCS?
Does this mean to resell DigitalOcean? Probably yes. I guess so.
Yeah. Let's do that. Mm-hmm.
So right now there is no option. I'm sure Johnny can talk a little more about it. There's a third-party company called Modules Garden that has such a module. You can go to modulesgarden.com. They have a module where you connect your DigitalOcean API, and then you can access all the functionality to actually completely white label DigitalOcean, and customers will actually not see that DigitalOcean is behind. So it's not from us. We might have one on our own in the future, and we're discussing that. But right now it's only available over a third party. But it's very low, inexpensive to actually get this module, and you can get a trial there as well and just try it out. You just upload the module into WHMCS. I just recently tried it myself. This is why I know it so well, and it really works very well as well. So yeah.
Gotcha. And yeah, not an official partner of DigitalOcean or any of the other companies on the webinar today, but we definitely, I think there's a DigitalOcean guide. I'll share that out after the fact on using it, and I just shared the link in the channel. And obviously, again, that question was about reselling, but you can go to our marketplace if you're looking to spin up Plesk Cpanel and in the future WHMCS, and you can go to our marketplace and spin up a server very easily there. But yeah, Modules Garden, if you're looking to white label and resell, that's where you'd want to go.
Yep.
Great. Okay, I think that is all of the questions. Thank you to the full crew who worked on building the presentation and hanging with us for questions. We really appreciate it. Again, for folks that are still on the line, we'll be following up with the deck and the recording of this call. And we're happy to also pass on any additional questions you might have to Lucas, Mario, or Johnny if you do have questions that come after the fact. So thanks again, Lucas and team for hosting. We really appreciate it. And yep, you can see everyone's email address here too. So if you do have questions in the future, it's very accessible to get in touch with one of these folks. So thanks again, Lucas. We really appreciate it. It was great hearing from you.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Cheers.
Have a great day. Thanks, everyone. Bye.